All right, guys. In the last 2 weeks, we have seen in the very first week, you have seen the introduction to Excel, trying to understand the complete background history of VBA and how to save the file in different formats. And as well as we have seen what should be the case. That means either I should be writing in a lowercase, uppercase, or what case should be say it should be a camel case or what. So we got the solution for that, and we also know which version should be used. No matter what version you are using, least bothered. The second thing is the very important one. We have seen how to get into a window called Visual Basic Editor. Visual Basic Editor, why we want to go? Because that is where we want to write the code. In the last week's session, we have just played around with a recording option. So please do remember, recording will only record what actions you told on that particular day and time only. But if you know how to write the code, you can edit the macro recorder, whatever the recording you have done, you can edit anytime by yourself because you know how to write the code. That is the concept today, how to write the code by your own. So if I want to know how to write the code, first of all, I need to get into the window that is Visual Basic Editor. So for that, we know the shortcut that is by just clicking on Alt F11. Okay, just click on the Alt F11. You'll be reaching to the window called Microsoft Visual Basic Editor. This is called as VBE, Microsoft Editor. And you can see it's a free floating window. It is not a, though it is within the Excel, but it is a free floating window. Okay, so my practice is always like I'll try to put my Excel file into 50%, something like this. Okay, I'm just trying to make my Excel file into 50%. And the second thing is the code window also I want to make 50%. The reason is it will be easy for me to understand what coding I'm writing, at the same time what the action I'm doing on my Excel. Why I'm doing 50%, the reason is whatever the code you write, you want to see on the Excel, right? Because ultimately that is your interface where you want to see the results. Because day in, day out, we always try to work with the Excel. Okay, you write the code only once and you will have place a beautiful buttons on your Excel. When you click on the buttons, you want to do something. What is that something we'll see later, but you want to do something like you want to copy a sheet, you want to copy number of rows, or you want to find a person and get the details of that person, or you want to generate multiple workbooks, or you want to generate multiple sheets. It could be anything. The task could be anything. But being today's my first day in just writing the code, I want to understand how my mindset or the behavior of the Excel style should be. Like the very first 50% is my Excel. Okay, and the right side it is something like it's showing a code window. All right. So in the code window, you can see the very first window, which is showing, this is a completely gray out, like for the first time when you're opening, as usual. But when you go for the view, there is something called Project Explorer. Once you open the Project Explorer, now the question is, where should I write the code? Okay, there is no module which is showing now. If you're recording a macro, by default, there will be a module here, but there's no module. You need to click on right click anywhere, doesn't matter. Okay, click anywhere, or else you can go for the insert and click on a module. So I'm just clicking here. I'm saying insert a module. Okay, so once you create the module is the first and foremost thing which you need to create by yourself, because you're writing code by your own. Had it been recording, the recorder will definitely try to create a module for yourself. But right now, I'm creating my own. I want to write my own code. I want to learn. So obviously, you need to create your own module here. So this is my Object Explorer, which will definitely tell me what are the different sheets I have. You can see currently I have only one sheet. If I click on this one more sheet, I can see that one more sheet is activated. When I click on third sheet, I can see there is a sheet 3 activated. So there's a long way to go actually, because we are just starting today how to write the code. First, I need to understand how to work with this window and work with this window. Then how I need to understand how to work with the cells. Then I need to understand how to work with the ranges. Then I need to understand how to work with the sheets, then workbook, then the outlook. There are a lot of concepts coming in. But before that, our basics should be very, very strong. Don't think beyond than this at this moment, because we are just writing. Because most of the time what happens is when you're starting your code, you'll think about working with multiple workbooks, working with Outlook. Yes, all those are possible, but basic is basic first. We need to know where to write, how to start itself. So for that, we all guys remember like how to start your macro name. Okay, how to start your macro name. Whatever the code I'm going to write in module 1, as I said, there is nothing wrong. You can have multiple modules here. We know the reason, how many modules I can have. There is no limit. You can have as many as modules possible. But the question here is, I created 3 modules just for fun. Do I need to write the code in module 3 or module 2 or module 1? It doesn't matter where you write, but initially try to have multiple modules to write, segregate your code. But once you become the master, entire code can be written in a module 1 only. There is no problem having multiple modules or one module. It's all about how you manage the modules. All right. So initially, we have seen in the second week, probably like we have seen uh, how to give a macro name, because that is the first and foremost thing we should know, how to give a macro name, because we are just starting how to write now. So that means you may be creating one macro or 100 macros. The procedure is same. So first we need to know how to give a proper name to it. So if I want to create a proper name macro, the very first thing we need to write is using sub. Okay, the very first line which I'm going to use is sub, and use your macro name. Then once you say enter, you'll be finding, let me increase the font size quickly. Just go to the options, uh, then edit, then let me make it to a maximum size so that you can see. All right, so I've given something called sub and end sub. Here we need to understand few things here. uh, Whenever you find some text in green color, please do remember, whenever you find some text in green color, that is nothing but comments. Okay, comments are nothing but giving more information to about that macro, or you're talking about some additional information about that macro. Probably you want to write, why do you have written this macro? What is the purpose of this? You can write all those information, additional information about the macro. And please do remember this additional information, what you're writing, it's for yourself and the person who is looking into the code, but not for the business. It is only for you. Tomorrow, after 1 year, if you want to visit your macro, you can easily understand what is the purpose of this macro. For example, if I've written, this is my first macro. Okay, nothing but you are just trying to tell yourself this is the first macro which you created and so date, and with the approval of your boss, I'd love whatever the information you want to write. So everything, whenever you see something in green color, it's called comment, and this comment can be given by using a single apostrophe before the line. That means you're whenever you're running your macros, this green color lines are ignored by the macro. Macro will never run green color lines. That is only for us, for not for macro. Okay, so this is how you're going to start. That is, you start with sub. Okay, I'm not writing this end sub. Once I say enter, you'll automatically get this end sub. And the macro name is showing black color. So let's see what is the black color here. Green color, as we have seen, it is a comments. Now let's see black color. Black color is always user defined information or certain properties or certain properties. For example, here I've given a macro name. Macro name is not a keyword in Excel. It is something which I have given. For example, if I'm giving my name, Monty is my name, which is not a default a keyword in Excel, right? It is a user-defined information. So always you'll be seeing in black color. And I can write the way I want. I can write in uppercase or I can write in lowercase. Doesn't matter because it's a user-defined information. But rest of the things, if you see, if I write the sub in uppercase, what happens? Let's see, sub, Monty, enter. Automatically, the sub and end sub has converted into a proper case. That means what? It doesn't matter which case you are writing, whether you are writing in lowercase, uppercase, proper case, doesn't matter. If the syntax is correct, your VBA editor will automatically convert into proper case. We all know what is a proper case. That is, a starting letter will be upper and the rest of the letters will be in lower. So the very first line what I've written is sub Monty end sub. This is your procedure. Okay, this is a procedure. This is a macro. In between this, whatever you write, your code, write code here. That means whatever the lines you are going to write, I don't know what code I'm going to write now, but whatever the code you write, a single line or 100 lines, it should be between sub and end sub only. Then it is considered as a coding. If you're writing outside of your two lines, that is not considered as a coding. So that is a basic thing which we need to understand. Here sub stands for subroutine. End is a end sub is nothing but end subroutine. That means it is starting with something and ending. Between these two lines only, we are going to write the entire coding. Whatever the coding you are going to learn, one line, 100 line, 1,000 lines, all the lines you are going to write only between these two lines only. If you're writing any code outside your procedure, that is not considered as a macro itself. So that means I want to show what is the red color. So red color, you can understand it is nothing but whenever you see any error, which will be always populated in red color. All right, so let me repeat once again. Green color stands for comments. Comments are nothing but user information, nothing to do with the macro. It is only additional information which you are writing. And you can write in your own language based on the situation, based on the project which you picked up. It doesn't matter. And black color, whenever you see any text in this editor, black color, that is nothing but the user-defined information, or you're talking about some properties maybe. And the red color we have seen, it is nothing but your error. The next very important thing, blue color. Blue color is nothing but keywords. Okay, keywords are nothing but those are the reserved words in VBA. That means if I want to learn English, I need to be perfect in alphabets first. Then I need to come with noun. What is noun? What is adjective? What is this? I need to go for this past tense, present tense, future tense. We have certain golden rules, right? In the same way, if I want to write a macro first, I need to follow like sub, end sub. That's a mandatory. So nothing but by writing sub and end sub, you are telling to your Visual Basic that I'm starting a procedure. Okay, procedure is nothing but a set of rules which you are going to write, set of instructions which you are going to give to the computer. So these are the four colors which you need to remember: color green, color black, color red, and color blue. So what is the advantage of remembering? Because this is how I learned macros. If you remember with the colors, the easy way is whenever you're looking into somebody's code also, you can understand what is a reserve word there, what is a macro name there, what is blue color. Blue color means what? It's okay, it's a keyword. Okay, that's how you can easily replicate yourself. Okay, we have seen how to write a procedure, open up a procedure, that is sub, and give the macro name. Let me write the syntax name here, macro name. That is your very first thing which you're going to do. What macro you are going to write, that's a different case, but this is how you open a macro and close the macro. And the question here is, once I start a sub and end sub, as I said, sorry, I need to write the entire code between these two lines. That means only one macro or two macros or three macros or 300 macros. It doesn't matter how many macros you want to write. It's all up to you. It's all up to your business requirement. It's all up to your requirement. So based on your requirement, you are going to write that many macros so that you can really work better. So as of now, I'm just writing one macro. Later, I'll slowly go to the second one, third one, then fifth one. That's how you'll expand this to 100 macros. So today I'm here to learn how to write my very first macro as a beginner. All right. The second thing is I learned how to write a apostrophes, but the thing is I don't know. For example, let's assume these three lines are related to comments. Comments we know better. There's the additional information. For example, I'm writing some additional information here, which is continuously giving an error because this is a bad code. And whatever you write after your sub and end sub, that is not considered as macro. This is not considered as macro. You should always write in between your sub and end sub only. Then only it will be considered as a macro. Anything if you're writing outside the macro, that is only a comments. So comments are can be given with single apostrophe. That is how I'm writing. But it's really annoying because might be tomorrow you're writing a big documentation in the editor. Why you're writing a big documentation? Because once I develop this project, I want to hand over to somebody. Okay, that somebody wants to check how effectively written the code along with the comments, because the comments will explain somebody what is the purpose of this macro, what why you have written this, what are the changes you have done. You can put all this additions, subtractions, everything here. For example, I've built a macro today. After 1 month, you came back saying that you need to edit this because business partner told me to do the changes. So you can put that as a comment. So and so business partners has recommended me to change, so I have changed it. You can put that lines here as a comments. But it's really annoying. Every line I need to go and put the first away. Not to worry. Just select the lines which you want to make comments. And I don't find anything in this here to comment a complete 400 lines tomorrow. Select those lines and you want to comment. How to comment? You need to right click here because by default you'll not see anything here as a special menu bar. Right click and say editor. I repeat, right click and say edit. You'll get a small dialog box which is going to talk about more about this macro enhancements. At this moment, let me learn only one thing, that is comments. I don't know which icon is referring to comments here, but of course, as I told you, always place a mouse pointer, it will understand what it is mean. If I place here, it is saying indent tab. Indent in the sense when you want to increase or you want to decrease the formatting changes if you want to do code. We will talk about more about that, how to indent your code, but this is how we'll use. I don't know if this tool is used for that one, but now today I learned it. That is when you click on this, you can indent or you can remove it. At the same time, at the right side, we have something called, let me place here what it says, comment block. All right, I learned something new today. That means for multiple lines, I can simply comment it, right? Multiple lines, I can comment it and I can remove the comment as well. I removed it. I just clicked on once. That's it. Your comment is created. So anytime if you feel there are some hundreds of codings also, for example, you have written a macro and you don't want to execute it, you have simply selected that entire macro, something like this, assuming that there's a thousand lines of code, select it and say comment because you don't want to execute it. You don't want you that macro to be the part of it, or this is an old macro still you want to refer. So you select it and comment it. But anytime if you want to uncomment, there is uncomment, there is a comment, and there is uncomment. So that's how you can quickly comment your code whichever you feel it is not really required. So guys, as I said, like any code which you're going to write, it should be within your sub and end sub only, and I can use tab to just give the indent. Indent always makes your code beautiful for reading purpose, for you, for anyone for that matter. Don't write in all in here and there, but yeah, of course your VBA allows you to write the code here and there, but when it comes to reading, it's very difficult for anyone, for you also, for sometimes for anyone. So it's better always to give the indents. We will try to learn more about that because we haven't written any code here. All right, so that's a basic thing what you have seen, like instantly how to make any lines into comments or single line comments. We already seen just by giving a single apostrophe. So I've just started my coding now, sub, macro name, and sub. Now the question is, what are the different ways of giving a macro name here? We already seen like how to give a macro name. That is, macro name can go up to 256 characters, right? But I always believe the fact, keep your macro name short but descriptive. That means I've given macro name. What does it mean? I've given first macro. What does it mean? I've given macro name as open workbook. Try to give a short name but descriptive. However, the macro will allow you to give a name as up to length of 256 characters. Especially if you record a lot of macros or when you write a lot of macros, you usually need to give a small, short, crispy, so that anybody can understand, so that we can easily identify. That is the only advantage here. There's no other advantages. And you have seen that very first few rules, like if I say first a macro, and I want to understand, is it a correct naming convention? Okay, maybe it is not giving you right information. First macro make no sense, but I want to understand, is it a proper name? When I come out of it, it should be giving me an error because there is something wrong here. When I say end of the statement is required, of course it's the very first error what I've seen. The error might be there is a space which I've given in between first and macro. When I come out of it, it's not giving error. That means it's perfect. If I give again space, it's giving an error. So that means I need to fill this gap with something here. So that means the naming rules, we remember how to give a name of a macro. Your macro name can consist of 255 characters. It cannot have spaces. You have seen practically, if I have space, what will happen? You cannot start your macronym with numbers. You cannot start your macro with special characters like maybe exclamation symbol, at the rate, hash, dollar symbol, percentage, ampersand. These kind of keywords we cannot use to give your macro name. So always better try to give a simple name and don't follow the rules. That's it. That's what I believe. Don't try to make yourself complicated giving like space. You know that that's an error. Okay, so simply try to give underscore if you want to divide the numbers. First underscore macro, for example, you want to say example. This first macro example name which I've given can be a single word, can be a multiple words. If you want to make it multiple words, ensure that you are giving with underscore. It's mandatory. And you cannot use numbers here. Oh, it's giving an error. That means your macro name cannot start with numbers. So your macro name can never start with the numbers. It cannot start with special characters. But let me see if it allows something called first macro. I want to give my something favorite numbers of 23. Will it work? Yes, it's working. That means your macro name cannot start with the numbers, but can end with the numbers. So that's a key line we need to remember, but nobody will try to give numbers or special characters. They will try to make it very simple as possible, how the macro name should go. That is very simple. You should always make sure it is relevant to your project, not to something out of scope. Don't try to give your name is good, my name is good, but don't try to give our names as a macro names, because for somebody, because you're not developing macros for yourself. If you're doing for yourself, it's fun, you can do it. But if you're doing for a official purpose or for any stakeholders or customers, always remember give a proper name so that it can be easily understood by anyone. For example, if I'm writing this macro to copy some data from one sheet to another sheet, let's say take in a hypothetical situation. So I'll say copy data, copy underscore data underscore sheet. Something appropriate name should be given as a macro name. So that's it. That's how the macro name is given, and we should always start your procedure or macro name with sub and end sub. That's how we need to start your very first basic thing. All right. So resume recording. Now let's talk about what is a procedure. Okay, whenever you're using Excel Visual Basic Editor, okay, the editor what you're seeing on the screen right now, a procedure is a block of statements, that is enclosed in a particular statement. Like we have seen, like we start with sub and end sub, and between this, whatever the code you are going to write, okay, whatever the code block of code you are going to write, that is called as a procedure. Okay, the block of statements which you're going to write, this is one code, this is one code, this is one code, whatever the code you write, a series of block of statements you're writing is called as a procedure. So VBA instructions are generally within the procedure itself. As I said, you have to write everything, whatever the coding you know, whatever you're learning, should be only between the sub and end sub. It cannot be out of the scope. If it is out of the scope, it should be a comment, not the code. So VBA instructions are generally within the procedure. Therefore, if you want to be the master of this VBA and macros, you should be familiar with this topic, because this is a starting topic, right? This is a starting topic, and if you're not familiar how to open and close, then we cannot understand anything as usual. So as you have seen, like how to open and close, then there are as I said, like we'll talk about the parenthesis later, which also plays a very important role, but now there is no important. Now when you look at this, before going further, like we need to see what is an object model. Okay, as I was talking about in demos or the first week, we were talking about what is object or object model. Okay, you might have heard this C programming language is object oriented programming language. You might have heard latest Python is object oriented programming. It is short form, it is called as OOPS, right? OOPS is nothing but object oriented programming language. So every programming language is based on the objects only. Now the question is, what is objects? Okay, in the real world, whatever you see with your naked eyes is called as an object. Look at your hall, look at your kitchen, look at any room, and whatever the items you're finding, whatever the things you are able to see, is all objects only. For that matter, whatever the laptop or keyboard or the mouse or the mobile for that matter is an object for you, right? In simple, you and me also an object. Okay, everything is an object in Excel. When it comes to Excel in particular, because we are learning Excel VBA, when it comes to Excel, your your sheet is an object. This particular selection is an object. Your cell is an object. Your workbook is an object. In simple, your entire Excel application itself is an object, right? For example, if you take your flat, for example, your house, it is an object. Your house as a rooms, those rooms are separate objects, right? Those rooms may have one more other objects like any other accessories. So in Excel, the application object itself is an object. Similarly to your house, inside application, Excel has a workbook, sheets, maybe a pivot tables, or the formulas, whatever you see. Now every object will have certain properties, right? Will have its certain properties and methods. For example, properties are essentially the characteristics of any object, right? If I talk about my television, a television has its own properties, like it is a black in color, it is some 22 inches, it has some three buttons, it has its own properties. Your house has a color, right? It is something like it's a square shape, and it has some age also, like your house is like 15 years old. But guys, can we change the age? No, we cannot change. That is what you call as a method. Property is something which can be altered anytime. Altered anytime. That means, in fact, I can change my name anytime actually, but my age I cannot change. So that is your method. And what is your property? Property which can be editable or it can be changed. That's what you call as a property. So always object model will follow along with methods and properties. Okay, it always starts with the methods and properties. We'll see, because we haven't written any code yet, but beforehand we need to remember what are these two, methods and properties. If I take a car as an example, okay, simple car as an example, you have a car at home. So car is an object. When you say car, if you want to say what is the color of color is an attribute of the car, right? So I'm saying color equal to blue color or black color. Okay, so here what I'm trying to say is my object is being a car. It has a property called color, which has a value called black color. Okay, for example, if I want to say method car dot drive, or yeah, drive, that is nothing but the method, right? That is nothing but a method. So always your object will have properties and methods, and your entire programming is based on this only. You always start with the object. When you say dot, you'll get its properties. After properties, you are assigning something, which color you want to apply. Okay, which color you want to apply. So for example, cell, we have a cell. You want to apply the heading color in red color, yellow color, white color. So what are the colors you was talking about? All this can be given with a property called color property. So that is a color property. Now the question is, how do I remember how many properties are there? How many methods are there? I'll make it very easy. Don't worry how to remember all these things while writing the code itself. All right. So that's a basic thing. We have seen what is an object model. Object model is starts always like what is an object, and for every object you'll have certain properties and methods through which you are going to write your entire programming. So uh, so likewise, an object in Excel, such as a worksheet object, right? So as I said, like sheet itself is an object. It has a name, and it nothing but that name is nothing but a property, right? That name can be changed anytime. And select a property that cannot be changed, because you are selecting something. You are selecting a sheet, and that forever that will be a selection only. So that is a method, and the property is nothing but anytime you can change. As I said, my age cannot be changed. That is a method, and my name can be changed. That is a property. So we need to remember this way. That's how I used to remember. Like my age can never be changed, and my name can be changed. My name can be changed is nothing but your property, and method is action. Okay, I repeat again, methods are the action that can be performed against an object. For example, your car. It helps to think of the methods as a verbs. For example, you can paint your house, right? In a VBA, that might be translated to car dot drive. Okay, car dot drive, nothing but that's what I have seen, nothing but it's a method. If I say car dot color, it is nothing but the property. That means you are telling more attributes about an object. It could be your house, it could be your car, it could be about yourself for that matter. Okay, if you talk about your properties, what are the properties? Your attributes, your behavior, your mindset, your strengths, your weaknesses. Okay, these are all, every object will have one other thing. It could be having a properties or methods. That's how we are going to start our first very basic example, which you are going to write the code now. And for that, we need to be aware like what are these things, that is object, what is method, and what is a property. And always the syntax goes like this syntax, if you remember, that's it. That's a till the end of your learning, you'll be using always the same. Object dot your property equal to value. Object dot method. Method will not have anything here. Method will not have anything. There are certain methods may have, but most of the time you'll not have any values for it, because color is a property. I have multiple options of uh, colors, but if I say car dot drive, what are the different methods of driving? Driving is a driving, right? That's a method. Okay, that's a method. That's an action. For example, you're putting a gate, that's an action. That's always the same. But the color is black, it's not always same. Whenever I want to change, I can change it. So that's what the property and methods differ when it comes to practically, not only in Excel, for that matter, any object oriented programming like C++, Java, and today latest language called as Python. All right, we have seen how to write your first macro, that is your macro name. Haven't started any coding yet, your first macro. So let me start with a new module maybe, just to differentiate. I'm into a second module now. Nothing like that, you can write anywhere, being the first one. I'm writing sub as my first example, so I'm saying first example. That's it. Once I say enter, if everything is fine, you'll not see any errors because I've not done any mistake here. The name is proper. I've given underscore. You can write uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter because this is a user defined information only. And rest of the keywords, even if you want to write in uppercase, let's see what happens. I want to write this uppercase in end sub. And once you say enter, it will turn automatically into proper case. So that's why don't be bothered about what type of case you're writing. I keep repeating, case is not at all a problem here. It will automatically convert into its own case. Even if you're a big fan of uppercase, lowercase, doesn't matter here. It will convert into a camel case or what you call as a proper case. So that's the first thing. So let me get back to Excel. I want to understand few things from the Excel perspective. So we know that like whenever I select some what are these called as? These are all called as a columns, right? So we have some certain columns here. These are columns and these are your rows. So your Excel is basically a cell based spreadsheet, right? It's a spreadsheet which consists of cells, and this is called as a column. A column, this is B column, this is C column. Of course I'm aware. If I go to this one, this is the 8th row. That's what I know. This is 7th row. How I'm identifying? Because at the left we have some numbers here. If I go down completely, it's showing like 10 lakhs. Okay, we have a 10 lakh rows now. It is not 65,000 unlike 2003 version. From 2007 version, we have 10 lakh rows. That's the advantage. Each spreadsheet has 10 lakh rows. And how many columns I have, I really don't know because up to A, B, C, D, E, F, I can remember. But if I go to last, I don't know which column I'm talking about. You can always use simple formula. This is an Excel formula, which I'm just telling you. Once you say enter, you can see 16,384 columns you have in currently in Excel, which is very, very huge. All right. So that's the thing. When I say this is a B column, this is a eighth column. So that means when I'm selecting that intersect point, this is the intersect point. When I'm selecting this particular cell, that means what? It is, I'm sitting on B8 cell. How do I recognize quickly? Okay. I need to check this is a B column. I need to check this is a row 8. That means I'm sitting in B8. This is a B8 column. How do I know I'm sitting in a B8? If you look at the left one, there is something called a name manager tiny text box which is tell you always wherever you click, it will tell you which cell you are setting. That is the advantage of spreadsheet activities. Wherever you're selecting, that means it is telling you in which cell you are sitting. If you're expert to identify from this way, that is F, and I'm sitting in F6, that's fine. Otherwise, if you're like me, just go here and check what is the cell I'm sitting. Just click here. I don't know where I'm sitting. E column, 13th row. So E column, 13th row, that is how you're going to recognize. So each cell in the Excel sheet we are going to deal with. All right. So always you are going to talk about the columns, you are going to talk about the rows. So if I select one cell, that is a cell, right? That's a cell. That is active cell. For example, in the mobile, you open a lot of application, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but you are working on WhatsApp at this moment. Out of all these applications, if I ask you what is your active application, that is WhatsApp. You cannot work simultaneously on the two apps. So currently, whatever the app you're working on, that is your active application. In the same way, though I have multiple cells here, when I clicked on this, that means this is an active cell for me, right? If I'm selecting this sheet, that is, this is an active sheet for me. I have 100 sheets in my workbook. No matter if I cannot see what is there in sheet 3 until unless when I click on this, right? That is, your sheet 3 will become active sheet. Your sheet 1 will become active sheet. When I select this, that means this is my active cell right now. If you are selecting this portion, this is your active selection. Okay. If a single cell is selected, that is a cell. Okay. If you are selecting a group of cells, let's say you have selected group of cells here. If you have selected group of cells, that means that is called a range. Okay, you need to remember this terminologies. You're talking about a one cell, that is a cell. If you're talking about multiple cells, is called as a range. Okay, range of selection. So here, what I want to bring the topic here is, whenever you are selecting something, that is called as active cell always. Okay, this is an active selection. Okay, this is an active cell, this is an active cell, this is an active cell. Though I have multiple cells, I'm not working all the cells because my cell currently selected, my currently selected cell is only this one, that is C12. So let's start the beginning of the code because now I understood what is active cell. Okay. So let me give a proper name to my macro so that you can really understand while you're working. Instead of saying first example, let me give again, guys. I repeat, macro name can be anything. It's your choice. Whatever I'm giving, it's not the macro name. It can be anything for that matter. So as per the example I'm trying to give, I'm saying something called cell reference. That is my macro name, just like that for fun. You can give anything for that matter. Now, the very first thing I'm going to write here is how to activate your cell with your VBA code. Okay, how to activate the one which I'm activating now through the mouse. No, I don't want to do as end user. Okay, I'm not an end user anymore. There are two things here we need to understand from today, that is end user and the developer. Now, choice is yours. You want to be end user or you want to be a developer. You all been always been end user, right? When somebody has developed a macros, you are just sitting at your computer desk and you're clicking on a button and you're waiting the macro to be completed. That is your nothing but your end user. But I'm the developer here because I'm developing the macros for you. You are consuming it. When you are consuming that, you are end user. But when I'm developing it, I'm a developer. So I'm a VBA developer here. I'm developing the things. So when you're developing things, you are going to write everything in the code window and you are going to see practically on Excel interface how it is working. Because why I'm checking how it is, why it is working, why not working, what are the errors, why I'm checking, because before I just hand over this project to anyone, I want to ensure everything is perfectly working. So I want to check each and every line when I'm developing. I'm a developer mode now. Okay, I'm not end user. When I will become an end user, when the project is completed, when I'm running for myself, then I'm become an end user. If I'm giving this project to someone else, that guy will become an end user for me. All right. So the very first one, I've written a comment here. Again, I'm telling comment is nothing but additional information which I want to understand myself why code I've written here. Okay. So as we have seen, your code always starts with object. Then we'll have a properties here. Okay. We'll have a property, or object may have a method, right? This is a single line syntax which I'm going to write now. If you remember, that's the starting point and 50% of the job is done. So the only thing is you need to start understanding how to write the code, that is by using the object and its properties and the methods. So the very first one, as I said, I'm talking about this cell. When I'm saying cell, okay, cell is fine, it's a B3, but it is an active cell. So most of the VBA programming language, what you're going to learn from today is like an English kind of a syntax. The way you speak, the way I speak, the way anyone speak is the coding here, guys. So that means you need to talk to yourself, talking to Excel, rather talking to Excel, you need to talk to yourself. What I want. I want to write something in the active cell. So active cell is an object here. So that means you are going to write your active cell. I'm writing in caps, of course, but what happens later, let's see. Once I say dot, because active cell will have a property, because here we want to write something in the A1 cell or the B1 cell or the B2 cell or whatever the cell might be. Once I say active dot, I'm getting something. Here, let's take a pause and try to understand what is this box is all about. I never seen in my life, because it is trying to show me some a box with a lot of information. At this moment, I don't know what is this information all about, but I want to understand. Okay, I was referring object model. That is, every object will have a properties and methods. Okay, we always tend to take a lot of 100 pages of notes in understanding what are the different properties we have in a VBA or in Python or in Java or C++. Don't do that, especially in VBA. Don't do that. The reason is, in every step of your writing your code, your VBA is going to help you like buddy, helping buddy in understanding, making you understand what all you can do with your VBA. That means I want to write something here, that is I want to give a value to my Excel. I want to write something there. So I want to either use a property or a method here. So let's see what is a method or property. I want to write some value here. So the moment I'm writing, I'm getting some information here. Okay, I got value here. So I don't know the spelling of value here. I don't know how to write it. So simply, if you type the few letters of the starting, then you say tab, you'll get the letter. Okay. Once you say equals to, then you can write what you want to write in double quotes. I'll tell you the reason why you need to write in the double quotes. Montyexcel, I've written simply a message. Once I come out of this line, what happens is this active cell being written in uppercase. Once I write in uppercase or lowercase or any case, once you come out of this line, it will show you in proper case automatically. Okay, it will come automatically in a proper case. So active cell is an object which has a property called value equal to I'm assigning something. That is, I want to write something to my Excel. I want to write something to my Excel, that is by using an active cell. So active cell always refers to the cell what you have selected on your screen right now. All right. So let me see how this code goes now. When I say if I want to run this code, the single piece of a code what I've written just now, I want to see how it works actually. Okay, if you know how to run this and how to write your first line of code, you're off done, because this is the only way through which you are going to write from simplest to complex of your code. So I've used an object called active cell dot value. Okay, again I repeat, whenever you say dot, you will get its properties and methods. Here, active cell is an object for which you have properties and methods. Now the question here again comes here, how do I know which is a property and which is a method? Very simple. There's no need to remember, no need to take notes, no need to read much. Very simple. Whenever you see something called in whenever you see something called in green color, okay, looks like a folder shape and green color, which you can see the very first one, that is a method. Whenever you see something in a green color object, that is your method. And whenever you see something called with a hand holding something envelope symbol, that is your property. Okay, let me see. I don't know if it is a value is a property or method. Let me see if I type value, I can say confidently now it is a property. That's how you are going to slowly write the code and learning yourself how differentiating what is a property and method. Okay, so I'm just giving a value, but active cell is in a car dot color equal to which color? That is what we are talking about the example right here. I want to write something to my Excel, so I'm saying active cell dot value equal to what you want to write, that is Monty Excel. Now question is, You want to write something called Monty Excel to your Excel sheet, but why you include it in double quotes? Whenever you talk about any text, always should be enclosed in double quotes. Always, always. If I'm writing something, a message, let's say if you're writing some message which is of numeric value, okay, that is not required to enclose in double quotes. Only the string information, that is text information, your name, my name, which consists of no numbers, right? It's only a text, your company name. Always the text information should be enclosed in double quotes, but not the numbers. So this is my name. I'm enclosing in double quotes, nothing wrong. You should always enclose in double quotes your text information. All right, I've written the very first line of code here. Now the question is how to run it. Okay, do I need to put a button here to run the code? Or yes, of course, you can put a button. Or can I use Alt F8 to run the code? Because I have this Alt F8 key, which I know because I just created my first macro, that is cell reference. Cell reference is my macro name here. You can see. Okay, can't see now. Just close this. Okay, if I want to run this code, I'm using Alt F8 to see what are the macros I've developed. I have two macros here. That's first one example. That's fine. Cell reference. So when I can click on this as well. But please do remember, guys, when you're running the macros from this Alt F8 of with the buttons, that means your behavior is changed. That means you are an end user. Don't run through your buttons. Once you are happy with the code, what you have written, 100 lines, 200 lines, tomorrow 1000 lines, if the code is working, then assign a button, create a button, assign this macro to that button. But now I am in the version of developing some code and understanding whether it is working or not, because this is my first line of code which I want to check if it is working or not. If you want to run, there are different ways. Okay, there are different ways. Uh, I cannot put my cursor outside of this procedure because this is your procedure, right? So I'm just using a tab just to give you a styling of my code. That's always good to give a styling of your code. That means you have started your code somewhere here, then you are putting the code here, something like styling, so that you can easily read it. That's it. There's nothing, nobody's forcing you to design your code effectively, but it's always a good habit to make this coding neatly arranged so that easily it is readable. And the second thing, if you want to run this code, where should my cursor should be? It should be on Excel, of course. If you have a button where you click on that button, you will run the code, but I'm not running that way because I'm not end user. I'm a developer here. Once the project is done, then I will become an end user to run that code. Now, if I want to run this single line of code where I want to print Montyexcel on my Excel skill, Excel cells, then I need to use either this button. Okay, I need to click on this run button, but I'm not interested because run button, what will do is if you have 1000 lines of code here, it will run within less than a second. It will run all the lines, but I will never understand how the macro is working. But being a developer, you should know how the code is working, how the code is executed, so that tomorrow, once you are happy with the lines what you have written, you can simply click on this button to run it, or you can place the button here. So if I want to check line by line how the code is working, always use, very, very, very important, guys, you need to always use F8 key from your keyboard, F8 key, to check line by line code. Why we are checking again, the question is bothering me. Why we are checking the code is working or not? Because once the code is working, there's never I will come to this code and to check again. Because I'm the starting stage of developing a code, obviously I want to check each and every line. So how I'm going to check? Use the F8 key, use F8 key to check your code. I'm using F8 key. Don't put your cursor here and there. Try to put between the sub and end sub only, because we have only one macro at this moment. I'll show you when you have multiple macros how to run, but this is the first macro. So keep your cursor between sub and end sub. Doesn't matter where you're keeping. Keep anywhere, doesn't matter. And hit F8 key from your keyboard. That is the first line in your keyboard. We have F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, F7, F8 key I'm referring to. Just click on F8 key. It will turn into a yellow color. What does it mean, yellow color? But that means you are in the process of running a macro and checking it, whether it has an errors, whether it's working fine, whether everything is anything to be changed. That's how we are trying to understand. Use always F8 key. I'll be keep using this F8 key for upcoming sessions as well, because I want to, I'm not confident. I've written some line, but I'm not sure if it is working or not. So I'll be using F8. F8, I can see Montyexcel is printed at A3 cell. Here the catch here we need to understand, did I ever told to my VBA coding, I need to use continuously F8, F8, F8. Okay, then only it'll come out of it. Okay, being it's only single line, you're not understanding, but when you have multiple lines, you'll understand that. But now, what is the most important thing I want to understand here is why it has printed only in A3 cell, why not in A10 cell? Okay, let's see if it prints in A10 cell. I'm selecting, because yourself told to macro, wherever my active cell is there, please write something like Monty Excel. Wherever there is an active cell, please write down as a Monty Excel. But will it work if my active cell is like, I've selected few cells here. I've selected few cells here. I'm running my macro. Will it write in 4 lines? That's my question. It will never write, because we have selected 4 cells here, but the active cell you can see the very first cell, that is A5 cell. So let me write it. Yeah, it's writing in only A5 cell, not in the all the cells. So you need to understand the differentiation. Active cell is only a cell which is ready to use, ready to be occupied. Your mobile application is the best one. You open lot of social media applications, but you're working on only WhatsApp. WhatsApp is your active application, not your Twitter, Instagram, or anything. The reason is they are sitting at the back end, but the front end, which we can see, is only WhatsApp. So that is active. Within no time, you just move to Twitter. That means Twitter is your active application. Here, why I'm trying to correlate with the mobile, because I have a lot of cells here, but I'm not clicking anywhere. I'm clicking in somewhere here. When I'm running this, you'll be seeing the output will be only in that cell. So today I learned how to use the active cell and its property called value. Value is nothing but the value is a property which will write something to your Excel. All right. So let me remove this quickly and go to the next line of code. We'll take a pause after this after writing few lines. Now, this is your first line what you have written, that is activating your cell. Now the next line which I'm writing, selection reference. How to select, how to write some information in a group of selection. That means today I'll be selecting only this line, tomorrow I'll be selecting this line, tomorrow I'll be selecting this line. That means wherever I select something, I want automatically to be values to be populated. But here the thing is, selection will not have intelligence. Okay, I missed the word called intelligence. Let me talk about this. Active cell, once I said dot, the box which appears in front of you on the screen is called as intelligence. Intelligence, the word is used, technical word is being used is, the technical word which is being used is intelligence. Intelligence is something which is always keep telling you, which is always keep telling you what properties and methods will best go with this object. Okay, so that is what you call as intelligence. But unfortunately, when I'm typing this, now you want to write something on the selection, right? So nothing but your selection. When I say dot, I'll not get anything. Unfortunately, there are few objects which doesn't have intelligence works. Value equal to, I want to say something Excel. Okay, I want to say some Excel. Now that means I've selected a big portion here. Let me select this big portion. I'm running this code. The first cell will write only in the first cell because it's the active cell. But if you see the selection dot value will write in the entire selection. That means wherever I'm selecting, for example, if I'm selecting, let me remove this because it's already written. Now I want to select huge portion. Let me go for this selection. I've selected a lot of information now. Let me make it little smaller. Now I'm running again because that whenever the code is already completed running, it will not show any results. So you need to run again. Active cell it is written, selection dot value equal to cell. That means it's entire selection it is writing. Good. Now we have just seen how to use the active cell. Then we have seen how to use the entire selection. That's a beauty here. Now, if I ask you how to remove this information which is pasted in the Excel now, The usual your word which you use in general purpose. You use, can I clear this data? That is how you use in general communication, right? So of course, if you want to clear that value, we can use some methods. Of course, we'll come to that. But now I am interested in writing rather than erasing it. Okay. We'll slowly try to develop the code in such a manner so that you can be the best today itself, writing your own code at a basic level. So this is about your selection portion, and this is about your active cell. This is your about selection. Now I want to write something in a particular cell. For example, active cell is what? Whichever the cell is activated, whichever the cell is active, that is active cell. But when you're very particular, I want to write in only in this cell, then how you're going to write? Let's say uh, writing info in, okay, writing a particular, let me just indent this here so that you can see what I'm writing. Later we can style it. Sorry, left one. Yeah. All right. So here what I'm saying is when you are very particular, like you want to write a date here, you want to write a company name, or you want to write some stuff in a particular cell, that is called as absolute. That means where you're sitting right now in the A1 cell. So I need to refer in my code that I want to write in the A1 cell. So your object becomes here range. Let's see, range, open and closing parenthesis. Guys, we already know in Excel, whenever you open VLOOKUP, okay, whenever you open sum formula, whenever you open count formula, countif formula, whatever the 400 plus functions will have certain parameters. So here also it is asking you, can you please tell me, you're talking about a range. Okay, range is nothing but a single cell or group of cells here. Range, in the range, what you want to write, in which cell you want to write, I need to mention. So let me say A1, close the parenthesis, and what value you want to give? Say value equal to, I want to say, I want to write Monty here. So that's it. But the problem is, being this A1 is a cell reference, which is have a letter as well, you need to enclose in double quotes. Very simple line of code what I've written. If you're not able to remember, not to worry, I'll tell you the trick how to remember this. The object here is the range. Range has a property called value. Value equal to what you want to write, that is Monty you want to write there within double quotes, being a string. Always remember, whenever you're writing a string, it should be always enclosed in double quotes. If it is a number, not required. So A1, okay, I don't want to run this line. So what I can do, simply put apostrophe, that will become comment. This line also I don't want to run, that will become a comment. That means I'm not interested to run those lines. I'm interested to run this line. So that is range even dot value. Let me run this. It should be writing by this time Monty there. So whenever you want to write something in Excel, you can write by using range A1 dot value. Now the question is, okay, I'm happy writing in A1 cell. How to write in a B1 cell? No matter, you are going to say B1 here. Okay, if you want to write in the C1, D1, whatever you want to write, just mention the cell reference there. Though it is a static way we are learning at the beginning level, tomorrow you are going to see how to make things dynamic. Okay, you're whenever you're referring A1, B1, nothing but you're telling a static cell reference, right? But you can make it dynamic little later, because now first we need to understand how to write first the code itself. Now here I'm saying A1, no matter whenever I run, I'll always see that Monty is printed that, because the value is always a Monty here. You can change anytime and you'll see Monty's. Now when I run this, you'll see Monty's there because that is what you have written. Now let me write the second line here. Not in the A1. This time I want to write in A2. Let's assume in the A2. A2 is nothing but this cell. That's what I was referring. Where you're sitting, you should know. If you're selecting just like that, that's an active cell. If you're selecting range, nothing but that selection portion. And no matter wherever you're selecting, it will always show you. You can remember with this tiny box, which is a name manager. Here I want to write Monty, and here I want to write Excel. Let's see how it writes. A1, A2. So that means now I understood, whenever I want to write something to Excel, this is what the syntax I'm going to write. This is what the syntax I'm going to write. The next thing, let's see, I want to comment this again because I don't want to run these lines. Now I want to write one more line which says, let me remove this. Now I don't want to write in a single cell. Okay. For example, if we have some something called series of numbers or series of text, not series of text, series of numbers. If you want to sum, how you'll do it? Sum sum, that is equals to sum sum. When you open the parenthesis, it's asking you what is your first number, last number. I don't have first number. This is a group of cells. When I'm trying to select this, please do observe. It is showing me B3 ending with B4, ending with B5, B6. That means it is telling me what is your starting cell and what is your ending cell. Excellent. That means now I understood. I learned myself when I want to give a group of cells, this is how I'm supposed to give. That is starting number, colon, ending number. Excellent. So now I'll go to my Excel now. I'll try to mimic the same code what I've written here, not the sum. Of course, I don't know how to write the sum in Excel because I don't know the formulas at this moment. Now I'll go to this range. Instead of saying range A1, let me write in a group of cells. Group of cells in the sense, just now I learned A1 colon, if I say A10, that means I'm going to write from A1 to A10. Though my selection is here, it will never write here because I've not written anything related to selection. Here I've written A1 to A10, say it will always write in A1, A10 only. If I say A1 to D10, what happens? It will write in A10 say D10. Okay, what happens if I say D1000 or D100? It will write the information in 1,000 lines. Let me see if it written really in 1,000 lines. Absolutely, it has written in 1,000 lines. This is how you are slowly improving your code and understanding how to work with a single cell or group of cells. That is, you have seen how to activate a cell reference, how to make a selection, how to write in a single cell, how to write in a group of cells. Okay, so let me activate everything again. Not now. Let me make this also so that I learn. I want to learn more. Then I can make everything open here. Now, as you know, if I want to write something called sum of this A column, how you write in general sum formula, you'll say A colon A. That means you're talking about the entire A column, right? If you're talking about a B column, how you'll write? The same way, there's no change at all. You're talking about a B column. If you're talking about a C column, C colon C. Okay, I'm interested in A and B as well. So let me say A. If I say sum of A colon C, that means I'm writing in a A and B column. All right. So that means I'm writing nothing but I'm just referring what I want. So that means if I want to be the really the master of Excel, no need to be a master of Excel for that matter. You need to know at least the basics. That means how you're referring a column, how you're referring a cell, how you're referring a group of cells. Now let me write something in a column range A colon. Am I specific now? No. I'm specific of A column. A column A dot value equal to something. Let me write something here. Now, what does it mean is whenever I write something between, see, I commented this, means if I run this, nothing is running because everything is commented and your VBA is least water what you have written in green color. If I just activate this, that means this is a single line of code which you want to run. Now, when I run this, you'll see in the A colon A, the value will be something. So that means it's writing because it's 10,000 lines will take time. It's already written probably. Yeah. If I go down, you'll see all 10 lakh rows has written with something. So it's your choice what you want to be activated, what you want to write. If you say A to Z, what happens? It will write in A to Z columns all these values. So that's wonderful. Now I learned how to activate one cell, how to activate group of cells, how to activate a selection. Okay, let me activate everything and then we'll see how this can be go. Let me comment this as well. Now, what if I want to write multiple things? That means random. Somebody is interested to write in A1 also, not in the B1. It's not favorite letter. I want to go for a C. I want to go for a D. Randomly, you want to pick up some columns and you want to write something. Is it possible? Let's see. Range. I said A. I said A, let's say A1. From there you want to start. Then you want to write to B10. Okay. Then you want to go for something like C. Okay, C10. Then you want to say D10. I don't know what I've written. Let's see. Value equal to Excel. Okay, what I'm trying to tell you here and what I want to prove the fact, you can give multiple cell references within the range object. That means here I've written some random cell references A1 to B10 I want to write and C10 to D10 I want to write. So let me see if it really works. Okay, it's working. But if you see, it has printed A to B, and in the C and D, it has written at the end. Intentionally, I've given 10 and 10 because I want to print in 10 and 10 only. So that means what reference you are giving, that is more important. Let me see if I give D1 and D10, that means you want to skip the C. Let's see if this Excel really identifies that C should not be there. Okay, excellent. That means you can also skip columns if you don't, if you are not interested. That means you are interested in A and B only, then D, not C. So that means you can play around with these cell references to understand better. That's what we have seen, all the mixed fractions of values here. Now the question is, this is absolutely fantastic. I could able to understand, but how do you write in a row? Okay, you're writing in column most of the time, but how to write in a row? But how to identify row? You already know in Excel. If you say row, okay, you can say 5 colon 5. That, what does it mean? That means you are selecting a row called 5 colon 5. In the row, you cannot specify 5 rows or 6 rows. It says rows, right? So, sorry. So that means when you are writing this, we need to mention the rows here. So let's see how I can refer the row. The way I refer the column, can I refer the row as well to write something in the row rather than in a column? So that means if you want to write, sorry. So if you want to write something in the row, what happens is, I'm just commenting this again because I don't want to run everything. Range, can I say something like 5 colon 5? Let me see, dot value equal to uh, Excel, Excel. Now, if I run this, what will happen? Okay, nothing will happen because everything is commented, which is very bad. Let me activate this. Now, when I'm running F8 key, it should be writing in row 5. That's what my assumption. Let me see. Okay, does it went to till the last row? Yes, perfectly. So that means when you want to influence the entire column you have seen, if you want to influence the entire row also we have seen. So that's a simple one, what we have seen initial stage. Let me activate everything and work at the same time. This is activated, this is activated, this is also activated, this is also activated. Yes, yes, yes. Now let me run slow by slow, step by step here. First is active cell. So my active cell is somewhere here. Okay, I'm writing something there. Yes, exactly. Selection dot value. I'm not selected anything, so let me select this. I'm running my code. Okay, it's writing here. I want to write something in the A1. Okay, I'm writing here. A2, I want to write something. Okay, I'm writing. A1, again, you want to write. A to D, 1000, you want to write. Okay. A to A, you want to write. Okay. A to B, you want to write. B5 to B5, you want to write. 5 to 5 row. So that means you are able to do whatever you want with the help of this range and its properties. So that's how we have seen how to make use of these properties and methods. Yeah. All right. So we have seen how to use the range object in order to display something to your Excel, maybe a single cell or a multiple cell or based on your selection. So let me bring on to the next one, sub cell underscore references underscore one, just like that. I said enter. So this is my second procedure, or so-called second macro has been created. Okay, macro is created, but there's no information is written because we have to write code there. Now, so far I was referring to range A1, range A1 dot value equal to something. Okay, so whenever I use dot value, that means the VBA is understanding me that I'm interested to write something to the Excel. What if I don't write any dot value here? Let me see what happens. Will it work? Running, running, running. All right, so it's working. So why you're telling me to use the value property here? So that means whenever you're using a value property, that means you're explicitly telling to a VBA, write something on my Excel. Even if you're not using that value property, by default, for every range object, the value is by default property is called as a value property. So that means it doesn't matter whether you're using dot value or not, still it will work. But it's always better to use the property there so that it can make anybody easy to understand, right? That's what I proved here. Even if you're not using range a1 dot value also, it doesn't matter. Even if you're using dot value also, it's okay. But it's always better to go with a complete sentence which easy to understand. For us also, it's easy to understand what you're doing. So that's a simple thing. Value is a default property. Let me write here, value is default property for range. Okay, that's a default property. Now let me see, is there any other way of writing A1? Because I've been using the object called range. Without using range also we can write, because some people prefer to write in different style without using this range. Let me see, use open and closing parenthesis and use A1 there. Very interesting. Some people write, but it's very confusing. Actually, don't go with this style. It's very confusing because here I'm saying A1, but I don't know what A1 you are referring. So A1 dot, and the biggest disadvantage of this one, let me show you again, range A1 dot, I'm getting some properties and methods here, right? That's what we have seen with the intelligence. But if you are using this model, that is A1 closing dot, I'm not getting anything. The reason is this kind of style will never have the intelligence help. Only if you're master code developer working since long time can use this one, because by the time you'll know what properties and methods. I'm just writing value manually because my intelligence is not helping me, because I'm not using an object here, either range, directly using a1 equals to, I'm writing Excel. Then let me see if it works just like the range. Okay, it's working. So that means you can also use, instead of a range, directly a1. Okay, you can also use a1, but as you said, values default. Is it the same? Let me see. It's working. So that means the value is the default property. Even if you don't use it, that doesn't matter. Okay, I learned how to write in Excel with one option called range. Second option is writing in this way. Can I also expand the A1 reference? Yes, of course. A1 to A10, the way you just learned with your range, dot value equal to, let me say something. I'm writing whatever the stuff I want. It's my wish. That's a value. A1, I'm printing Excel. In the A1 to A10, I'm writing something. So that means A1 to A10, you can also use in this fashion. But if you want to write row, because I've been using range, can I use 5 colon 5 dot value? Can I use that? This is row value, just like that. In double quotes, whatever it's the style you write, special characters or special, whatever you're giving in double quotes, you wanted that a text to be printed as is. It doesn't matter how to write the text, it's your wish. That's your free text actually. In fact, when I'm writing A1, it's printing. A to A10, it's printing. A 5 colon to 5 colon, 5 colon to 5, that means I'm referring to the entire row. That means you can see in the 5 row, it will be printing some information. Some information. So that is how you can also use the second way of writing your information, by using this kind of a style. I don't really prefer this one. As I told you, the disadvantage of this one using this style is you will miss the opportunity of learning intelligence. This intelligence will not come up. Okay. Tomorrow, if I want to, I never talked about show. Can I use show also? You can just learn like this, like select, yes, activate is there. Okay, activate. So that means I'm getting intelligence with this. I'll never get the intelligence. Only if you're the master blaster of this VBA, then only we can use this kind of things. But believe me, guys, there is no difference at all using this or this. It's your choice. I started learning with a range. I started liking it because it's very explicit. Even tomorrow, if I'm trying to explain, there's no need to tell him very detail what is this all about. This is telling, okay, range. Okay, you're talking about A1. Okay, you are giving some value called Monty. This is quite easy kind of a coding line, but this is, though it looks very easy, but difficulty to understand, and moreover, difficult to understand in terms of there are no intelligence coming up. That is a drawback here. No intelligence here. Intelligence. Okay, there's no intelligence. That's a problem here. That's a second way of writing. Let me see, is there any third way of writing? That is also interesting, but again, I don't prefer. Let's see if it works. The third way of writing is by using cell references. Most of the people write either the first style or the second style. You can go for the any style actually. As I said, like go for the first one because that's very easy to understand. That's the only reason, nothing else. Let me see how to write in cell references because there's a cell. Cell itself is an object. So I'm writing cells. Once I say cells, as you know, every function will have, when I open sum, let me use equals to, without equals to, it will not work. When I use open bracket, it is telling me, it is helping you. In fact, these are the parameters which we need to give. Okay, it is asking me, can you provide the first number? Okay, I've provided. It is asking me, if I want to give the second number, I need to use a comma here, right? Then only the second parameter will highlight it. Second parameter is highlighted. I'm giving 10. And the third parameter is available now. So let me give to. So that means the parameters plays very important role in any function. If I say VLOOKUP, I don't know what to write in VLOOKUP. So let me see if it will help me. Okay, it is telling me, can you give me the lookup value? Okay, I'm giving some lookup value here. Once I say comma, it's telling me, can you give the table array? So that means now I understood if I want to learn any formula, or in the VBA when I'm writing anything, I need to depend upon the parameters. Whom should I approach to understand the parameters? Don't go anywhere. Just open that VLOOKUP or SUMIF or any function, you'll be finding all the parameters which is explaining you already. So that means if you don't satisfy these parameters, I'm not going to work. That is what the VLOOKUP is saying, right? You need to provide the lookup value. You need to provide the table array. You need to provide the column index. You've been using it. I'm not explaining VLOOKUP here, but I'm talking about the parameters which will go with any formulas. So here the range has a parameter called either row number, either the column number, or the column and row number. That's what we are trying to give here. That's how we are satisfying here. Here in the cells, when I open the bracket, this is what I'm trying to make you understand. When you open the bracket, it will always tell you what to do. Okay, I don't know what to do here. So it's telling me, can you please provide the row index? Okay, row in the sense I need to provide the row. Which row? So let me select 10th row. Okay. Once I say comma, it is telling, can you provide the column index? Column index in the sense, it is asking me index. Index is nothing but in the form of numbers. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4. So let me say 4. Then dot value equal to Excel something. Okay. Now, what I'm trying to do here, how do I know these parameters to be given? I was not learnt. Nobody has told me what parameters to be given. When I open the bracket, it is giving me two options. I'll repeat. It is giving me two options. Give me the row index. Give me the column index. That's it. So that means in reality, if I need to write the same thing in the range style, you are saying row as 10 and 4 as column. So little bit different here. 4 is a column in the sense D10. Here it is called as D10. Here it is called as, let me put it in a simple way. For example, A1. Okay, A1. A1 in the sense, in terms of cells, how we are going to write, little difference. First, here in the range, we are giving the column, then the row, but here it is giving the row first, then the column later. So row in the sense, first row, and column in the sense, first column. That means, in fact, the A1 you are referring in the form of numbers here. 1 comma 1 means you want to type something in the cell. So let me see if it works. Yeah, it's working. So let me change the row to 5. That means you want to print in A5. Is it? A5. Okay. Let me put this in B5. So B5 is 2, 5. It's good to go with this style also, but again the problem with this intelligence will not come up, and you need to remember the row numbers here, like what is the column number. I know A, B, C, D up to E, but later I am completely lost. If you suddenly ask me what is Y column number, I don't know. So better to always go this model, because this model gives you opportunity of giving the column then the row. But here we need to provide the first row, then the column. So this is also one model available to write your code. But if you see somebody has written the code in the form of cells, or somebody has written the code in the form of this, somebody has written this in this fashion, don't be panicked. Three models are same. Three models are same. But I always use the first one because It's easy for me first. My life should be easy to understand, so that I can make somebody easy understand. So the first model is going to be anyone's favorite because that's how it works. Recording. All right, we have seen three models here, that is using the range, using the A within the open and closing parentheses, and the third one is cell reference. Whichever the way you are writing, it doesn't matter. And it's always better to use the range because it will have intelligences and easy to make. Even a layperson can understand easily what this code is talking about. Now let's try to understand more things because I just started using the object and the property, its values. Let me go for some copy paste jobs now. Okay, sub copy paste. Okay, there is a question in my previous batch. I want to make it clear. Whatever the macro name I'm giving, because of that, this code is becoming copy and paste. No, this is only a name, guys. I can give any name here, doesn't matter, because this entire code is related to copy and paste. So I'm giving a corresponding name, which is interesting, easy to understand. That's it. All right. So copy and paste. Let's see how to copy and paste into a different cells. Okay. So before that, let me write something here. I'm not written anything, Monty. I've written some information here. You want to copy this information and paste into some cell. Which cell? If I tell you one example, you will be understanding how to paste anywhere. So for that, you need to understand the basic concept here. First, you know how to write something. Okay, range a1 dot value, that is a value property you are using. Even if you're not using value property, it's not matter. Now the second part is, if you want to copy, the first and foremost you do manually. Just forget about the VBA code. Even if you want to copy something, okay, out of huge number of cells here, what you want to do, the very first thing you want to do is you want to select it, right? If you want to copy something, you need to select it. That's a basic fundamental rule. So if you want to copy only 5 rows, you need to select 5 rows. If you want to copy 9 rows, 9 rows. If you want to copy 10 rows, let me keep it as 10 so that it will be clear for understanding. So whatever the thing you want to copy, first of all, you want to select it. If you don't select it, you cannot copy. Is that true? Let me see. So first I want to use dot. I've been using value. That's enough. Now let's move on to the next property or method. I'm not sure again, is it a property or method? Let's see. Interestingly, now we know how to differentiate SELE. The way I'm using a general English word, I want to select this. What do you want to select? I want to select this A1 to A10. That is when range A1 colon A10, I want to select. So let me see if select is property or method. Okay, I got select as a method. That means select will not have properties again. It will not have a values. Why? Select will only select. Car can be car dot drive. It can drive. That's it. It doesn't have any other things again. Car dot color, it can have multiple colors, you can change it, right? So select is only selects the portion. I'm selecting A1. Okay, my cursor is at A1, not interested. Let me go for A1 to A10. Okay, A10. Why it is selecting A10? I want to select the whole portion. So that means let me say A5. What happens? A5 is selected. So that means whenever I want to select something, you need to be very particular what you want to select. What do you want to select? That means A1 colon A10. Just now we learned. So that means A1 to A10 I'm selecting. I'm selecting. Excellent. Now I want to copy. So this is what you call as selection. How to selection? Select a particular portion. If you want to select a major portion like A, B, C, D, E, obviously you'll be selecting be here because your selection is changed. Okay, you are selecting more portion now. So that's how the selection parts works. Here it is a select is a method. It doesn't have further properties or values to be assigned. It is a method. There are only few methods which have further properties, but not all. Okay, that's a selection portion. Now guys, if I want to copy, you can easily guess actually. If I want to copy, what would I have done? Instead of select, I would have used simply a copy. Will it work? But let me see. Copy is a method. Okay, what else you want to copy? Copy is only copy. What style of copy? There's no other styles here. Let me see now. Selected this portion, then I copied it. How do you know it is copied? You can see there is some dots around your data. That's nothing but it's telling that you copied it. So that is a copy method, simple. Now I don't want to use B here because B there's nothing. So I'm going to A1 to A10 is selected, then you copy it. Now the question is, do you really need to select if you want to copy? I sincerely say this line is not required. Why do you want to select when you want to copy? Okay, let me see without selecting, can I do that? That means I'm using F8 key. I'm simply directly running the second line, not the first line. You can see here the first line is commented. I'm directly copying. That means there is no need to select the data if you want to really copy it. Okay, that's a very good part. But in some cases, we will be selecting, we'll see that. But I'm just trying to show you how to select and how to copy it. Now you want to copy, you copied it, but what happens usually, let me see in Excel. I copied this. If you want to paste in C cell, will you select the same amount of portion to paste it? You selected B10 and you'll paste it? No. Whenever you copy something, you'll select the first cell or anywhere and you'll just say Control V. That's how you'll paste it, right? So in the same way, it goes the same way with the VBA as well. So range, you selected C1 because you are interested in pasting in C1. Now, the way you copy is a method. Copy is a method. In the same way, we have the paste. So let me say paste. There are paste special. We'll talk about that later, but let's assume it is a paste now. Okay, paste special. What is space special? We'll try to understand more, but for now it is space special. I'm just copying it, then I'm moving to C1, I'm pasting it. Excellent. So whenever I want to copy and paste, this is how you are going to copy and paste. Of course, there are different ways of making dynamically. You want to copy and you want to find a blank row and you want to find a blank column, then you want to paste. That's a beautiful way of writing code, which is going to do in a dynamic way, but this is a simple thing. How you want to copy and you want to paste in a different cell altogether. All right, so that's how you just learned how to copy, how to paste. So here what I'm noticing is while writing the code, it is just like the English, the way you and I speak. Please select the file, please select the range, please delete the data, please clear the data, please copy the data. The way we speak in general English language, the same language is being used, but how it is used is the most important thing. That is the basic thing what we learned. That is always use object, then dot, then property or method. Which property? I'm not sure, because it depends upon the requirement of what you want to achieve through the automation. So this is simply copy and paste we have seen, but is there any other way of copying and paste? Let's see. I have another way of writing which is very very beautiful of pasting. I'm saying a range, I'm saying A1 to A10. I select it or copy it. Let's say dot copy. Now you're wasting one more line to paste it, right? I'm using this line to paste it. Instead of that, you can also say space. Once I say space, something is coming up here. Guys, very interesting. I say copy. Instead of writing a second line, you can also write second line because I'm just learning. So I'm just trying to understand each line by line. I'm writing this first line, you copy it, then you're pasting. But can we accomplish the same thing in a single line? Let me see. After copy, once I say open parenthesis is saying where is the destination you want to paste it. Okay, my destination is range C1. Let me see, my destination is C1. So that means whenever I copy something, I want to quickly paste in the C1. Is it possible? Yes. Yes, it is possible. That means you copied something and you paste very quickly within a single line of statement. That means you are slowly trying to remove unwanted lines and making it a single line to work your macro much faster. In previous case, what happened is I selected first, then I copied it, then I pasted. I've written 3 lines of code, which I made into single line. So what you are trying to achieve? Are you proving yourself you are the best? Yes, because I want to prove myself best in terms of optimizing my code. By that, what happens is the performance of your macro will drastically increases and it will work faster than the code what I've written in the first few lines. That is, first I'm selecting, it is taking one action, it is taking second action, copying it, it is taking third action. But in this case, it's simply copying and throwing within no time fraction of seconds is doing that job. So this is how it works. Let me see, is there any difference between the copy and cut? I don't know. Let's see. I copied it. I did the same line. I'll comment this one because I don't want two things to be happen at the same time. I removed copy. I used cut. Okay, let me remove this first. Okay, cut is a method. That's what I learned today. Cut is a method. It will not have further properties. So let me paste the whole stuff that is in the C1. That is A1 to A10 you want to cut and paste in the C1. So let me see what is the difference between a copy and cut. When I run this, it's cut and pasted. That means you completely shifted your data from one place to another place. All right. So in this example, we'll see how to work with the color objects. So that means I need to start with one more macro because I'm giving him one more example. So font functions, functioning something, that's a macro name, no matter. Now here I have something called Montyexcel in the very first cell. Let's try to take that. Let's try to influence that one. Now, if I want to, usually how you do any text bold, you simply use Control B, right? And if you want to make italic, you'll say Control I, whatever. Of course, you can go with the home and do that modifications. If you want to apply color, you can apply color. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to do all these functionalities, because why do you require to make certain things bold, certain things into italic, certain things into underline? Because you want to format your report in a beautiful manner, because that is the ultimate automation, right? So if you want to make any things, for example, I want to influence A1 cell because I'm sitting in A1 cell. So you need to always start with A1 cell. So that means range A1, I want to say A1 dot, let me copy this, dot. Now I am talking about making this particular text into bold. That means it is related to something font. That is what we observed in the first week of sessions. Every block will have certain functionalities. Like for example, if I go to home tab, this entire block is talking about font. This is entire thing is talking about alignment. This is talking about number formatting. This is talking about styles. This is talking about cells. This is talking about editing things. So that means the same thing what I'm doing in Excel, I want to achieve the same thing with the help of VBA now. So I'm influencing font. I need to use say dot font. Okay, font is a property. Property can have further properties. The way we have dot value equal to something, dot color equal to black color or what something. Now the font will have, I'm saying font, but for font, what you want to do, there should be something else, right? So that means I want to make it bold. So I said dot BOLD bold. We have other properties we'll see later, but I'm just concentrating on how to make a bold now. So once I say bold, equal to, you want to give some value there? No, you want to say you want to make it bold or not. That means you want to make it true or false. So that means once I run this function, the single line of statement what I've written, it is making my text into bold. So that means somebody said don't make it bold, make it don't make it bold. So that means either you can make it as false or true. That means I'm making it bold, I'm making it false. I'm making it bold, I'm making it false. So that means what I understood is when I want to make it bold, that means I'm clicking on this particular button called, let me go to my Excel. If I want to make this one, I'm making it true. I'm making it false, making true false. So that means font will always have true and false. So by this example, you might have understood if I want to make italic also, we'll switch it on, switch it off. Switch it on means you want to apply and switch it off in the sense you don't want to apply. That's it. That is what you're talking about. Now, if I want to use the same thing again for italic, what would be the function here? We can easily start guessing the properties and methods here. It's simply italic. Italic, you want to make it true. So let me make it true. I want to make immediately false also, just for testing, but you will not make true and false all the time. Okay. So first I'm making it bold. I'm removing it. I'm not liking it. I'm making it italic. Okay. Later I thought like, let me remove it. So it's up to you. If I remove all this false information, let's assume I removed all the false information. I want to make bold. I want to make it italic. That means this is all about how you're giving instructions to your VBA command. You want to make it true, you are making it. If you want to make it false, you can make it false. So that means this, what I learned is how to influence your text information, that font, whether you want to make it bold or italic. Now, it will not be too far to understand how to make underline probably. Do you have underline property? Let me see. Dot underline. I'm just learning, so I'm trying to check everything if it is there. No, there is no underline here. So what does that mean? Do you have a strike through here? I'm not getting anything. So here the problem is you don't have the properties directly. Either we don't have the bold also. No, we don't have bold, but how could I use a bold? Because the bold, italic, strike through, all this, whatever you're talking about properties are further properties of your font. So that means I need to use the font, then use underline. Do you have underline? Yes. Do you want to make it underline really? So make it true. If you want to make it false, simply make it as a false. So let me see if it works. I first made it as true, then it has make it as false, then make it as italic, then made it as unitalic, then I want to make it underline, then I want to make it as ununderline. That means switch on, switch off. It's nothing but true and false. So let me go for the next more example. I want to understand your font should be always there. If you don't have fonts, that's what I was trying to say. Underline, I don't have. Bold, I don't have because the font is always associated there. Font dot, I want to use strike through. So what is strike through? Let's see what is strike through looks like. Strike through, I want to make unstrike through, that is nothing but false. It's only false and true what you're trying to do. Switch on and switch off, what I've shown practically in Excel. Forget about VBA coding. First, I'm taking it, making it bold, making it false, making it italic, making it unitalic, making it underline, making it ununderline, making it a strike through, making it as unstrike through. It's up to you. What is your requirement? I don't want to make it false. I really want to apply it. So remove all the false information. Just run it and see what happens. I made it bold. I made it italic. I made it underline. I made it strike through as well. Fantastic. So that means it's all up to me. I need to ask myself a question what I want. So based on that, I'm trying to make italic, underline, and what all we have the options within your Excel environment. The same thing can I'm trying to use as the VBA functionalities to make it perfect. So for that, let me write the comments here. Change font to bold. Okay, this is no bold, and this is make italic, no italic. This is make underline, no underline. This is make strike through. This is no strike through. Okay, so that's how I could be able to start writing my own code now by understanding how to use it. Initially, you may find a little difficult, but later on, slowly when you're writing, you'll understand. Even if I learn bold, that's enough for me because later on, how to use the other properties, I'm automatically getting in the intelligence through which I can understand. That's why the basics of Excel becomes mandatory, not extensively Excel, but basic functionality what we are trying to do. So this is about the using of font related properties and methods. All right, so far whatever you've seen, you are working with the font related properties, and further it has properties like underline, bold, strike through we have seen, which is basically functionalities of Excel which you are trying to achieve with the VBA. Now the question is why we are trying to make certain things bold, italic, underline, because most of the time you are trying to format your reports, or you want to do your data massaging in a sense. You downloaded some data from systems and the data is not always beautiful, right? Date is showing left side, but you want to show in right side. The company name column, employee number is showing at the right side, but you want to show in the left side. You want to align something, you want to make highlight something. All this looks pretty simple, straightforward things which you can do with Excel, but you want to do in a single go with the VBA. That's what we are trying to learn. But here, if you want to align text from left to right, right to center, let's see how to do that. Sub alignment as my macro name itself, so that you can understand tomorrow when you open this workbook after sending this workbook into the drive. So first, what I want to do is I want to whatever the cell information here is there, in which cell it is sitting, A1, right? It is A1 or A2, A2. So that means I need to write a part called A2. Let me write as A2, A2 dot. Why I'm struggling between a lowercase and uppercase here? Will it work if I write lowercase? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're writing in uppercase or lowercase. I'm just preferring to write in upper so that you can see a bigger font, but it doesn't matter whether you're writing lowercase also. Dot, here I want to use alignment. Which alignment you want to use? I'm not sure. I want to use horizontal alignment to right. So let's say, okay, I have this property here. But once I say horizontal alignment, does it mean my job is done? But are you very clear telling to your, are you clear with your instruction? What do you want to do with this text? Do you want to align left, right, top, bottom, whatever you want to do? Let me see if I have the properties. Once you say equals to, you'll see the magic. Once you say equals to, you will see we have certain properties called Excel. Okay, I'm not getting this. Why? Now here we need to understand one trick here, guys. I'm not getting the properties, and even I'm not sure what are the different properties available, values available here. That means I know I can make it right. I know I can make it left. I don't know if it is there is something called center. I don't know if something is called top. I don't know if something is called bottom. But what is this? I'm not getting this intelligence, which is promised me initially that I am there to help you, but it's not helping me. Don't worry, whenever you don't get the intelligence, what is the trick here we need to use is use, let me write here before I do, use control plus space bar to get your intelligence. That means once I say equals to, I'm not getting anything. Once you say control space bar, you will get your intelligence. I repeat, once you use control space bar, you'll get your intelligence. In that, you select Excel, we have right. Okay, we have right. I don't know the complete spelling, so let me use the tab here. Once you see the tab, you'll get the right. Excellent. So please do remember, whenever you're not getting intelligence, don't worry, simply use control space bar. Control space bar to activate. I don't know what is the spelling of workbook, active workbook. I'm just typing ACT, I got something active cell. Okay, fine. This is how you are going to practice. I want to write active workbook, active, then I'm trying to find what is the spelling of that active workbook. Okay, I got it. So that's how you are going to write the right spellings, because your intelligence is helping you. Now I just made my text right side. Do I need to explain how to make it left side? Do I need to make it help you to how to make it right center? No. When I run this, you will see that it will go to right side. How do I make to a left side? Do I need to make left side? Because whenever you're writing any text, this is text, it's always left side. Please do remember, in normal Excel I'm talking about, whatever the text information you write, it is always aligned to left only. But what happens if the number is typed? Will it sit in the left side or right side? Always right side. So by default, in Excel, in spreadsheet, in a Google Sheets also it's the same thing. If you're writing any text, it will be a left alignment. If you're writing any number, it will be a right alignment. If you're typing any date, for example, it will be always in the right side. So numbers always in the right side, text always in the left side. So don't try to use left, because already by default is left only. So, but still I'm learning. So let's try to use if left works or not. So that means I used Excel right here. Let me see, I don't know the spelling. So let me say Excel left. Okay, I have. Let me go for center, Excel center. Okay, it's working. That means I'm good. Now I want to run this. I want to make it right. It's already right. I want to make it left. I want to make left. I want to make it center. So this is how you can use alignment of your font properties, that you can mix whatever you want. Let me see if I can make it top. I cannot make it top because it's already showing at the top. Okay, at the bottom now. So I just increase the row width, so that I can really show off how you can make it top. Top in the sense, instead of Excel top, I can write manually. Let me see if I can top and it works. How do I know the spelling which I've written correct or not? Let me say tops. which is incorrect. When I come out of this line, it is not giving me error, but it is not converted into lowercase like this. See, it should be in a camel case. It should be in a proper case, but this is not converted. That means if your spelling is wrong, your VBA is not will not identify as a property or its value. So that means you need to check always whenever you write something, when you come out of it, it should automatically convert into a proper case. So that means I've written my spelling right. So that is top. Let me see bottom. Why I'm writing actually, let me take this intelligence help. So control space bar, Excel bottom is there. You are there. All right. So we have not button, it is bottom. Excel bottom. Sorry, what I'm writing. So bottom spelling is BOT. So I've done some alignments. Let's see if it works. I made it as right. I made it as left. I made it as center. I made it as top. Okay, we are in the cell reference, so it will not work, but I'll show you how to work with your text. It is not taking as a top. We'll see this later. I'll show you with the recording how it works. Now I'm going for the bottom. Bottom is also not taking because it's already the alignment is done on that particular text. Okay, that's not a problem because this can be managed with the recording. But how this works with the alignments, that's what you have seen, how to use it right, left, and this. Sometimes there are a situation where you want to wrap text. Do we guys know what is wrap text? I've written, this is my Excel data information for the week 2. It is not wrapping in the sense the text is not really showing in a single cell. It is going into the next cell. But if you look at in the second cell, it is empty, right? It is empty. It is showing only in the first cell, not in the second cell. You want to wrap it in the sense you want to make it in a single cell. So what you do in normal Excel, you'll try to go for selecting this and we'll click on a wrap text. So let me see if I have that property with your VBA. So that means how to wrap it. Let me put all these comments so that nothing should be triggered. I want to say range A1. It's not A1, A2. Always be clear with what you're writing. A2 dot. I want to check wrap. Wrap is stands for W wrap. Okay, it's existing. So far I'm good. It is saying E2 you want to wrap, but it's like a switch on and switch off. So whenever I just recap myself, switch on, switch off, nothing but it's true or false. That means equal to true. I've written in uppercase, but when I come out of the line, it should properly convert into a camel case or proper case. Yeah, it's converted. That means it's working. So when I run this line, it should be converted to a proper case that is showing in a single cell. Now the entire information is showing in a single cell rather than in spreading into different lines. So let me make it false also to prove the fact, yes, it is wrapping and unwrapping your text. Wrapping it, unwrapping the text. It's wrapping it, it's unwrapping the text. So this is this is more or less you are just talking about wrapping your information. So why do you require? Because sometimes you get the data in a different styles and you want to massage the data by doing this. And sometimes you want, how do you auto fit this particular information? Basically you try to drag it like this to auto fit in the sense you want to fit the information within the that particular range. If I make like this is not auto fit, right? Auto fit in the sense you either you double click on it, either you try to manually increase the width of that particular row. So can we do with the Excel itself, VBA itself, so that I should not be coming back to this text and doing that? Okay, let me see. I'm just moving off and saying range A2 dot, then using, now what you want to auto fit, is it a row or a column? You want to row or a column. So let me say for example columns I want to auto fit. So columns, you say columns because you are talking about a columns, you want to auto fit it, right? So you are using as a columns dot, once you say auto fit, whenever you say columns, after that you are not telling anything. You are saying color, but what color you need to mention, right? Always go to the car. Okay, always go to the example of the car. You said car, but you want a color. What color? You need to mention it. So here you are saying columns, But what you want to do with the columns, you want to auto fit. So let's say auto fit as a method itself here. So when I run this, will it do the A2 as a auto fit here? Yes, absolutely. It has made auto fit that entire information into a column. So if you want to make the entire columns, you can auto fit just like that. You can mention as A2, or you can say A colon to Z. That means up to Z columns you want to auto fit just like that without doing anything manually. That is about the auto fit mention. So if you want to increase the same way, I'm going one more example here. Everything looks similar actually because you already started understanding the flavor of writing the VBA now. Dot rows, I want to auto fit, or I want to increase the row height. Why you want to rows increase the height? Because that's my requirement. So I want to say rows dot row height. Do I have a row height? Yeah. Row height, how much you want to increase? Maybe 40 size you want to increase. So let's see if row number 5, that is 5 is nothing but this one. So let me see if it works. A to Z, all the columns are auto fit now. 5 row, I want to increase to some extent of 40, right? So 50 is the size which I increased. You can use increase further or decrease based on your number you provided here. So always the value to be provided for certain properties. By this time, you should always understand, by this time you should have understand, when you say auto fit, it will not have what number. Auto fit in the sense, I don't know how much size of the data is there in the cell. You automatically out of it, I don't know. But in some cases, you want to explicitly mention out of it, but try to increase to 40 size, 35 size, 60 size. You are explicitly mentioning. So this is mentioning. Here we are not mentioning because out of it is automatically fitting it. In the same way, this is how you are doing for the rows. In the same way, you have seen how to make it for the columns. So nothing but we are talking about nothing but you are talking about um, alignments which you have seen, and at the same time fitting the data exactly as per your requirement. All right, in this example, let's try to see how to work with colors. Okay, how to work with the colors. So if you want to work with the colors, we need to use, let's say, SERP colors example. I'm just taking a colors example. Now here, what I want to do is I want to select a range called A2 dot. Now, as we know, we have to, I'm not getting intelligence. The problem is something wrong. That means I'm not given
Range
range.
spelling.
Yeah, range spelling is wrong. So that means range dot. Once I use dot, I need to use what? Font, because you are working with the font. So far, I used font dot bold, font dot italic. So I'm little curious to understand. Do you have any property called color? Let me see. I have color. Okay, perfect. Color equal to what? You should give some color name there. I don't know how to give the color name. Will it work if I say red? I don't know. It is not even changing its formula. I mean, it's not changing its value, style, right? So always use VB red or VB blue, VB green, whatever your favorite. Always try to use prefix with VB. The reason is these colors are available within the Excel, not outside. So we need to use VB red. For example, if I say VB red, let's see what happens in the font color. You're talking about font color, guys, not background color. So that means the background color is changed. Now let me see in the same way how to change to font to bold. So that means dot bold equal to true. Now I know. I'm very quick now in writing because I know how to write the code now. So dot italic I want to make. Okay, let me make italic also. I want to make it strike through. Let me make it as dot strike through equal to true. I want to give a background color. That's my interesting. Okay, let me go for this one. Dot font dot. Now here is the question. The way I'm using background color, will it have a background color as a property? Let me see. Dot background. Yes. Equal to what? Which color you're talking about? It should be very clear, right? Let me say VB blue. Will it work? It will fail. Let's see. Once I say A2 dot font color equal to red, let me make everything normal so that you can understand. Okay. By default is black. No formatting has been done. Now I want to do with my VBA. Font is bold. Sorry, color is red. It is bold, it is italic, strike through, background. I got an error. The thing is, the way you used as a font dot color, you cannot use font dot background. Let's see why it is different. Now I want to remove this font dot and use color index equal to VB black maybe. Let's see if I run this red, true, this. Now it has become color index as the font color. So the color index and the color working same. So that means there is no difference. Now the question is how to make it a background. I'm still not sure how to make it a background black. I'll park this question. I want you guys to give the answer how to make it a black color because I'm not aware right now. All right. The next one, I'll go with the next example. Colors example 1. Using a with object. Okay, using a with object, very interesting. If you want using with object, okay, whenever you want to make your code work faster, the best way of doing is to use with object. Let me show you practically how it works. Let me write this is my example and the A3 cell. So I want to do everything in the A3 cell. Range, let me not type anything. Let me take all this information from here. Okay. Now this code does the same what the previous code, but I want to do little difference now. Okay. The way I'm writing all this 4 lines of code which I have written, it is only for one particular thing, that is A3 cell. I want to do something, right? It is not A2, it should be A3. Now A3, A3, A3 and A3. Now instead of writing so many times range A3, range A3, don't write it so many times. The easiest way, it's not only easiest way actually for me, but also for the VBA to understand, to run it faster than you expected, will be easy for a macro engine as well. So how we can write with, start with, okay, and end with, end with. The way your sub and end subs starts and ends, in the same way with also starts with, I mean, this statement starts with and end with. So with what? I'm using this something called, let me remove everything so that you can see practically here. With range A3 dot. Okay, so here I said with the range A3. With this A3, what all you want to do, write between this width, and it will work faster than you expected. Right now I'm writing 1 or 2 lines, so you'll not see much difference. But when you're writing complex code and you're targeting one particular object, you're changing the color, you're changing, make it font, you're putting a border. If you're doing all these things for one particular thing, it is always too good to wrap up all these few commands into one particular box called with and end with. So let's see. I know very clearly if I say dot, I'll get the properties. No, I'm not using there. Rather, what I will do is see this difference of writing. Dot font dot color equals to VB red. Okay. I'm not, there's no object before, but still the intelligence is working because this object is written at the top only once. I'm not repeating again and again. I'm saying font dot bold equal to true. Okay. And font dot italic equal to true. Okay. Dot font size, we didn't talk about it. So size equal to some 50. Okay. Dot font dot. Okay, if I want to change the name of the font, probably it could be a name. So let me check. Okay, there is a name. So what name you want to give? Maybe Arial?
Yeah.
Arial. Okay. So what I'm doing here is, I'm trying to wrap up everything instead of writing like this. The only difference, the only difference here is instead of writing so many times range, 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 I'm writing only at the top once and making use of its properties. That's the difference here. And it will not be no difference in running, but the difference in running will be much faster. When you run this, it is targeting first, it will try to understand for which cell I need to work. and what are the properties and methods I need to work. Font is become red, bold, it has become italic, it has become font size 50, it has become the Arial. That's it. So that means you're wrapping everything into one particular thing called with and end with statement. If you ask me, is it mandatory to write this way? Yes, of course not. Yes, of course, yes. The reason is, if you write in this fashion, the code will work faster than the normal code. That's the only difference here. All right, so whatever the things we have learned so far, let me try to do the same thing with the help of a recording. That means I'm not going to write any code. I'm just giving instructions to the help of a recorder. So for that, I need to go to the developer tab, go to the recorder option. I'm telling my host recording. I'm giving all underscore because it's required. It will not accept. I said, okay, my recording is started. So my recording is started. How do I know? Because it's showing from record macro to stop recording. So whatever the actions I'm going to do right now will be recorded until I stop the recording. So what I want to do right now is I want to write a specific text called Montyexcel. Okay. This is what I've done with the first line of code range a1 dot value. Then I want to make it bold. Let me make it bold by Control B. I want to make it italic. I want to make it italic. I want to make it underline. Okay. I want to make the font color also something like red color. So let me go for a red color here. And I want to increase the size to some around like 48. Okay. I want to auto fit it. Of course, that is also I've done. I want to change the background color, which I'm not liking. So let me make it some background color. Okay. I want to wrap the text also. It's already wrapped, so not required. I want to align it, which I've not learned while writing. Vertical text or maybe rotate. You want to go for an anti-clock. It's not looking good. Let me change my decision. I'll go to this one. Okay, something I changed it. Out of it I did. Now it's completely entirely out of it. I'm not liking this e column should be that width. So let me decrease it. Let me decrease this also. Now it's looking little good. Yeah, that's it. Now whatever I have learned, everything I've done within a less than a minute. Now I'm going to the developer. I'm stopping the macro. Guys, whatever I learned with the help of manually writing the code, I've done everything with the help of a recorder. But my question here is, you put lot of efforts in writing the code. I'm smart enough to do the same job what you have done in 2 hours. I've done in 1 minute by the recording. Now the question is, who is better here? It's you or it's me? Even I am better. The thing is, now I'm in a position to understand the code because I know the code. Now let me go to the Alt F11. The problem is if I just click on Alt F11, you'll see hundreds of lines maybe or 50 lines. But when I'm writing manually, I'm not written that many lines, but still I'm able to achieve. The problem with the recording is it will do a lot of unwanted information also it will record. Let's see practically. If I go to Alt F11, if I say Alt F11, and of course, this is my module. Recorder will not touch this module. I'll need to see where the recorder has done its job in the file. So if you look at this one, it has written sub my first macro automatically. Very good because I'm recording. I'm not writing anything. Everything is done. It is first selecting the cell 3. Okay, let me do it practically now. Let me do it practically. I'll remove this one. Okay, let me do practically this coding. I want to check manually how it works because if I run directly, it will apply everything. I want to run this, debug it the way I develop my code. F8, it is selecting C3 cell. Okay, it is writing something there. Okay, it is making bold. Okay, whatever selecting that selection portion, it is doing true. It is making that selection portion is to true. It is making as underline. It is making the font color as this some number. You can use the numbers if you know. It's better always to use VB red or VB black. It's changing color. It is changing the font to some Calibri. After that, it's changing the font size to 48. It is making a superscript. Okay, we have all these properties, but if you see only for this property is applied, this property is applied, and everything is false here. Superscript is also there, which is false, which is false. So that means when you're recording, your intention is to make only font size 48, but it will try to show you all those properties which are not required and make it false by default. By default, it make it false. Actually, when I'm writing my own code, I would have written only dot name equal to this, dot size is equal to this. I will not be writing all this stuff. But though you are not interested, your macro recorder is trying to record all those properties which are available with this font property. You can see it started with width, end width, and all these properties it is been trying to use. So F8, 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 these are all not required because it's saying 0. It has not done anything. Color is changed, of course. These all information is false, though I'm not using it, but it made as false by default because I'm not using it. But if you're writing, you will not be writing this much of stuff, right? Only the required information, that is changing the name, changing the font size. Let me go further. CC column, I want to autofit. Let me see it is doing the autofit problem or not. Yes, it is done. C3 again selected. Change the pattern here. Change the background color. Okay, dot color, interior color. Now I learned dot interior dot color equal to this color. Then you can get the background color. Pattern, this I'm not using the property, it's making setting to 0. Then I'm trying to make alignments, orientations. I just made some orientation wrong, then I made it right. So you can see here I'm running slowly to understand what is the code recorder has done. Can I learn from the recording itself? I zoom it, zoom it. So that's it. So this is the entire stuff which is written, which I have written simple in simple lines of code. You can see in my first code I've written my own code manually with few lines only, but whenever you record, you will end up getting so many lines. If I want to change this entire code very quickly, what I'll do, first it is selecting range A1. Why you want to select actually? You can directly write dot value equal to, what do you want to write? This selection is not required anymore. Just remove it and make it as value equal to Montyexcel. Okay, you want to make that bold. Okay, this also not required. Why you are writing so many times? Let me do one thing. With the range C3, C3, then end with. Let's see how quickly we can edit this code. Now we have this one. Okay, for this I don't require range. I just made as dot value. Then it is making selection dot is not required anymore. Just copy this and make it into one dot font over. This selection is not required. This selection is also not required because it's making it font true. So make it font true. Now this is making underline. So let me remove this as well. Just make this underline. Yes, over. The font size also I want to increase. I want to make it color. So let's say simply font dot, because initially we should have the font there, dot font dot font. I know macros, so I'm able to edit. Now I'm in a position to edit anything because I know how to write manually. At the same time, now whatever recorded, I'm stealing my own code to do the changes. So that means here I need to say dot font, then use this one. That's it. So rest of the things, size, of course, size I require. I want to increase the size. Dot size equal to this. That is font dot size because it will not work without font. That's it. This entire information is no more required. If you see, maybe alignments you are doing, but it's not required. Everything is gone. Now, if I run this same code, what you might have seen is the same thing what I've done with the simple normal writing. So you can see first it's writing Montyexcel, making it bold, making it italic, underline, color, name, size, increase. That's it. So what I'm trying to say here is recording is not waste. Whenever you want to take the whenever you're stuck up somewhere while writing the code, always take the help of the recorder. It will tell you how to write the code. For example, till even after the end of the session, I never told you how to hide a column. Okay, how to hide a column, how to hide unhide a column. Let me see how to do it manually. Hide and unhide. Interesting. So let me go and just open the Excel. I want to hide a column. What do you mean by hide a column? Let me just make it this small. Okay, this Montyexcel I'm not interested, so I want to make it hide. You'll click on this and say hide, right? So if you want to unhide, you'll again select this portion and you'll say unhide. That means anytime if you feel you're getting 100 columns in your raw data and there are the few columns which you don't want to show to the business user because it's a confidential information, you want to hide it. But through the help of a macro, how do I do that? I don't know how to write a macro which can hide and unhide. Let me see quickly. I'll create two macros here now. See the magic here. Hide column. I just created just like that. I just created a macro name like hide column. I said, okay, select this, say hide. Okay, I'm stopping the macro. I'm creating one more macro here, unhide the columns, just for fun. Unhide columns. I say okay. Now this portion I want to select. I want to say unhide. That's it. I want to put my cursor here back. I want to say stop. Now what I want to do is interesting part. I'll just go for a insert. I'll take one button, nice button, where I'll say nice name to it, hide column. Okay, I want to copy one more button. No problem. You can just copy and paste as many buttons you want. Just I'm saying unhide this one. So now this buttons doesn't do anything magic. You need to do something that is assigning. Right click, assign. You already know that you have created hide macro. Just try to find out where is a hide macro here, hide column. And this is unhide. Assign the macro again, unhide. Now see the magic. Now I don't know the coding at all. I don't know how to hide a column, how to unhide a column, but within no time I'm going to learn how to write the code as well. But see, let's see the example here. I'm hiding it, unhiding it, hiding it, unhiding it. So anytime if you feel there are the specific columns you want to hide, you can unhide. Now my most interesting topic is how the code looks like. Let's see. It written so much of code here, but I'll make it very simple now. So what it is trying to say, column cc dot please select entire column dot hidden equal to true. Why you're writing so many lines? I hate it. So simply don't select the column. Simply just make it as cc dot first you are just hiding this hidden equal to true. That means make that column switch on and switch off. Again, remember whenever you're using true and false, that means true and false is nothing but switch on and switch off. Here again, see a lot of things are happening. You are selecting E and D column and you are unhiding. So let's do a simple job. That's it. So this is all not required because I selected here and there. I'm getting unnecessary. Now see the entire code has become so simple. It is telling me today only I just learned. I never I learned how to hide a column. I just learned with the help of a recorder now. It is selecting CC column, the entire column dot hidden equal to true. The same line if you copy paste and say false, that means you are unhiding. Okay, let me close this. Hide, unhide, hide, unhide.